There are lots of weapons in 7 Days to Die, but most of them aren't worth your time. So I sat down and analysed the DPS, ammo efficiency, and utility of every single firearm to figure out which ones actually stand out. Every gun on this list is ranked by how useful I think they'd be based on that data, which means the gun in the thumbnail, the Desert Vulture, didn't make the cut. It was actually outperformed by 2 weapons that show up earlier in the game. That doesn't mean it's a bad gun. It's still like the 7th best gun in the game, but the fact that it got beat by 2 tier 2s is just embarrassing. Speaking of those tier 2s, number 6 is the pump action shotgun, and it competes with the Desert Vulture on 3 main fronts. DPS wise, it's close, but that gap closes fast when you factor in ammo cost. But the reason it's here is utility. All shotguns have a stun effect when hitting a zombie. This stops them from running and significantly reduces their speed. When you're getting rushed in a tier 5 and everything's going wrong, being able to put a crowd of zombies in its place and buy yourself a moment to think is worth more than the slight damage trade-off. It also runs 3 ammo types: breaching rounds for doors and containers, AP slugs for armored enemies and lined up targets, and standard shells for crowd control. The rest of the weapons on this list are all being used with their highest DPS ammo types, which are the armor-piercing rounds. But the shotgun actually has utility for all 3 of its different ammo types. It's not always a strict upgrade. This kind of versatility doesn't exist in the Vulture. It just does damage per shot in almost nothing else, aside from the trade or barter bonus, but that's not exactly a combat boost, is it? And of course, you'll find the shotgun earlier at tier 2, so you're not waiting until late game to make it viable. But what beat it out for number 5? Well, it's also a tier 2, and it's actually my favourite gun in the game, even if it's not the strongest. Number 5 is the Tactical Assault Rifle, and for a tier 2 gun, the DPS is extremely high. It actually beats out several weapons that will show up later in this list on raw damage output alone. The weakness is ammo. 7.62 AP rounds are expensive, and out of every gun on this list that runs them, the TAR has the worst value per shot. You're paying for that DPS in your resources. One thing to note though is that it also needs a full auto trigger mod to fire in full auto. While this does sound like a significant downside, you'd probably still put that mod on your gun anyway, because full auto trigger groups give any gun a 12% faster fire rate, which on any already high DPS weapon just makes sense to add anyway. The real reason it's here though is also its utility. Machine gun class weapons, once you've maxed their perk, restore stamina on hit. That means you can sprint, hip fire, and never stop moving. If you don't have a base, it's not a problem. They can't catch you, especially since you also get a speed boost on kills once the book series is complete, and you get a chance to ragdoll zombies with each shot, which makes it significantly better for crowd control than most other weapons. But the ammo economy is its weakness, because it's pretty much a strict downgrade from a weapon later on the list. But if you can feed it, it will keep you alive. But from 2 guns that are extremely simple, number 4 is the opposite. It's all about risk versus reward. Number 4 is the sniper rifle. Our first tier 3 gun actually on the list, and it's everything the Desert Vulture wishes it was. While the base DPS actually looks quite weak for a tier 3 gun, on paper, with a high damage and slow fire rate, in the right hands in the right situation, this gun actually outperforms everything else on this list. The problem is, those right situations are not very common. The perk doesn't give a fire rate boost, it gives a kill streak bonus. If you keep chaining kills, you're looking up to a 50% extra damage per shot. Throw Perception Mastery into the mix, and that jumps again, pushing the DPS much closer to the TAR at a fraction of the ammo cost for each point of damage. Then, if you're willing to go a full 15 perk points deep into this rifle, 3 times what most guns need, 5 ranks of Penetrator will let your AP rounds punch through 5 targets in a line. You set up a horde base that funnels zombies into a conga line, you're essentially getting 5 shots for the price of 1 in that specific scenario. It outdamages every other weapon in the game here. Nothing else comes close. It's just a shame that 90% of the game isn't spent in a perfectly optimized horde base with zombies queuing up very politely. Think of it like a Formula 1 car. On a purpose-built track with the right driver, it's untouchable. However, if you try to drive it at the grocery store, it might be a different story. You probably want something a little bit more practical and straightforward. Something that can clear POIs, wipe hordes, and not waste so many skill points. And that's exactly what the next 3 guns are all about. Number 3 is the SMG, and if the sniper rifle is a Formula 1 car, the SMG is a sensible family saloon. It's reliable, practical, and it gets the job done. The DPS is higher than the tactical assault rifle, which might surprise you for something firing 9mm ammo. Even though the damage per shot is low, it fires fast enough that it still out DPSs the tac rifle. You can carry twice as much ammo per stack as most other calibers, but what this gun really lacks is utility. There's no stuns or crowd controls or really interesting perk interactions that change how you play meaningfully. But it's also the quietest weapon on the list that generates the least heat, which matters if you're trying to not aggro 5 million screamers the second you clear the first room in the POI. It's not very flashy, it's kind of just a pure DPS heat efficient package, but if you want something that causes more carnage, that's what number 2's for. Number 2 is the auto shotgun. Returning to the car metaphor, if the SMG is a family saloon, this is a pickup truck. And not one of the massive ones you use to overcompensate for your lack of penile depth or to turn small children, old women, and ex-wives into speed bumps. No, instead it's the kind that insurgents use in the desert. The raw DPS of the auto shotgun actually sits in the middle of the pack, but in practice, it's the most efficient weapon on this list for day-to-day damage dealing. Shotgun ammo gives you exceptional damage per resource spent, and you're melting zombies in 1 or 2 shots, and you have an up to 64 round drum mag, which means you're not reloading very often. The stun effect I mentioned earlier is where this really earns its spot though. You know those fuck you rooms where charged zombies are sprinting at you from every angle? The auto shotgun just turns those off. A few shots and suddenly you're back in control of the situation that should have killed you. Then there's perk synergy. Max out strength mastery and you get 25% resistance every time you score a kill with any strength weapon. Given how fast this gun kills, it's basically permanent damage resistance. Stack it with the best melee perks in the game and Pack Mule, you've got the ultimate tank build. The absolute best bang for your buck as far as ammo efficiency goes, and it will absolutely make up for its relatively lackluster DPS by the fact that it can penetrate more targets with its slugs, and those slugs are exceptionally efficient to craft. But there's still one gun that just erases everything. Before we jump into number 1 though, if you want to see me make a video like this but for the melee weapons in 7 Days to Die, and indeed a video like this for the armors in 7 Days to Die, it would be pretty useful for you to hit that subscribe button. It also helps me because we're trying to hit 100k by the end of the year, and we're making fantastic progress by the way. So subscribing is the easiest way for us to both get what we want. Anyway, number 1 is the M60. Probably quite predictably. It has the highest baseline DPS of any weapon in the game. The only thing that outperforms it is the sniper rifle in its exact perfect scenario, and we already established that that scenario exists about 10% of the time. The other 90% of the time, the M60 is the one you want. It just kills zombies better than everything else. The magazine capacity is insane. You probably, I would hope, won't run out of ammo in the middle of any fights. The run and gun perk lets you reload at full sprint speed, and hipfire accuracy is tight enough that you never have to stop moving. Stamina restore on hit plus speed boost on kill plus the ragdoll effects that leaves entire hordes tripping over themselves. Tier 5 POIs are gonna be absolutely nothing to the M60. Horde Night without a base? Reveal. The tactical assault rifle's ceiling was its ammo capacity, but the M60 just doesn't have that problem. It's fun, it has the best DPS, and I don't even have much else to say about it because it's just such a straightforward good gun. It just does its job better than everything else. The only real downside again is the ammo consumption and the heat generation, though I could certainly see some people preferring the submachine gun or even the auto shotgun because of its efficiency and perk synergy with such good melee weapons and Pack Mule. But honestly, just carry the auto shotgun and the M60 and use them in a strength fortitude combo playstyle and you'll handle every possible zombie fight extremely easily. Now I'm going to be making the armor ranking video before the melee weapons video, so when it comes out it will be on screen right now. Don't miss out on that breakdown if you're looking for the best endgame gear. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.